well, I tried this microphone, with my little Bluetooth speaker, and when I got home, which is funny because it's the same computer. Maybe the noise difference in my ambient surroundings is a lot different than a motel, which would make sense. You know, even with the actual furnace running or heat pump or whatever you want to call it, it still was um, sounding a hell of a lot better. Okay, so now what we have to do today is get some things set up. So first of all, I need power cables, which I have here. And no, as usual, I'm not prepared. We all know the deal here, how I run things. All right, so this is an actual switch, which I have no idea how that got on top of here. Just bear with me. All right, you're plugged in to power. Where are you? Oh, now you are. Okay. Uh. Where are you? Oh my god, it's so annoying. Okay, so now. Alright. And there she goes. Okay, so this is a 2800 router. And you know what's funny? You know what? Let's move this microphone over here. Okay, that might be a little bit better because it was sitting right next to the actual router. Not right next to, but it's close enough. Okay, so I started off with 2500 routers. Okay, my biggest mistake was buying 1900 switches, Series 1900 Catalyst. And it was not menu based. I'm sorry, it wasn't CLI based. It was menu based. So yeah, you had CLI, but you had to actually hit numbers to go to particular menus. Okay, so I had to use for my CCNA. I had to use Packet Tracer. Okay, and um, then I went to ITT, which luckily I don't have to pay any of those student loans back because they folded. And you know what's funny? That's twice that's happened to me. First was ITT Institute. I'm sorry, not Computer Learning Center. Okay, all right. Now both of these schools that I went to were really just to pass the time. I was like, well, what am I going to do while looking for work? I got to keep busy, and that's how those schools came across twice in my life. Once back in the 90s or 1990s, and then back into like 2010. Now, what I can honestly say is, okay, um, I'm serious with the things that I do. So, luckily, both of those schools were cheating students and stealing money, and they got caught. And luckily, government was like, anyone who has ITT loans, um, bye bye. Same thing happened with Computer Learning Center. So I got lucky twice. But now, when I got to my CCNP, okay, now I used Packet Tracer for a little while until I went to ITT, and they had a whole rack of Cisco stuff. And the funny thing is, okay, I'm the only one in the entire school, including the teachers, who were teaching Cisco, except one guy, okay, which was not someone that I would uh, uh, care to mention as far as his discrediting Cisco certifications was his mission, and his method of doing so was really just like harassing me. Okay, and I was just a CCNA at the moment, telling me that, and even denied me because one of my his brother, which was a student, which was one of my favorite teachers, was trying to get him to hire me as a novice. And because I was going the Cisco certification route, that was his whole decision on not hiring me. Okay? All right? You'll find that people who rag on these certifications don't have them. Okay? And they're mad because people are getting, companies are requiring these certifications as a baseline. Okay? Whether they'll say you must be a CCNP. Okay? All right, and they get mad because certifications do not overthrow experience. Well, for real, okay, 9 times out of 10, people who rag on certifications, okay, guys, all I can say is knowledge is power. Okay, all right. All right, during my free classes back in 2010, 15, whatever. Okay, I've had people been in the field 15 years, CCIEs, and I was in CCIE at the moment, telling me I didn't even know a switch could do that. I didn't even know a router could do that. Okay, it doesn't make me smarter. It's the fact that I went to the training material. Okay, all right, all right. So now, first of all, delete. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Wrong command. We're going to erase the startup config. We're going to reload. Okay. Now, so I ended up using the switches for my CCNP at the school until I got my own, which I ended up getting 3560s. Okay. All right. This concept of having to have the most newest switches, guys, you're wasting your money. Okay. What I'm going to teach you today, as we're starting to learn how to manage these switches, okay, because today we're going to get into managing aspects of it, meaning that we're going to make changes, have the show you some of the things you can do as far as port security is concerned, okay, so on and so on. Now, we're using a 3560 in the sales, in the life. It doesn't matter. The commands are still there. The technology is still there. Okay? Now, I have not gone through the CCNA scenario, okay, or I should say curriculum, because I really just don't care. Because the bottom line is, I've been doing this long enough to know what needs to be covered, okay, and I have not liked CCNA training since the day they changed it. Got rid of the security and the wireless for CCNA and all that stuff. I mean, I just don't, I don't respect it. I'm sorry. I just don't. Okay, now, even now, CCNP is 2 exams. I didn't even like when they went to 3 exams. So, the funny thing is, from here on out, I passed my first CCIE, and you know what? I'm just going to stick on that track. Okay, I'm just going to start. Any new certification I'm going to do is going to be CCIE level. I'm not going to go through the CCNA stuff, which apparently I can anyway, and I'm not going through the CCNP stuff. Um, it's just like, all I see from my perspective is making weaker certified people. Okay, and their concept of putting more information on it. Okay, trying to make stronger CCNAs. It's just the complete opposite. At some point, I'm hoping they go back to the way things are. But in my perspective, Cisco's training is failing on that aspect of creating real CCNAs, and they weren't doing a good job in the first place because the cheating aspects has nothing to do with Cisco. Okay, because I was a strong CCNA, strong CCNP. Okay, all right, but remember, I made choices to go the direction that I wanted to go. When I became a CCNA and I started going back to going to CCNP, I went back to CCNA training because I was like, man, I forgot this stuff already. I had to go back over my CCNA stuff in order for me to become the CCNP that I wanted to be. So that was my choice, but that is the whole thing. Cisco gave me the opportunity. I took it. Cisco gave you the opportunity, and you went a different way and tried to do it the least path of resistance by cheating. That's on you. Okay? All right? It's not me, okay, that's worrying about the easy route because I'm trying to accelerate my career. Okay? I have real serious goals. All right? And no one's doing it the shortcut way because there is no shortcuts. Okay? So let's go now. All right. And we have no configs. Now, oops. All right, first of all, let's get rid of that right now. My console 0. Logging. Synchronous. And now my text does not get interrupted. Now, we have a command that says show IP route. Now, there's no interfaces up and running. They are down, administratively down. Okay? So there's nothing in the routing table. No IP routing. Now, look at the difference. Now we go back up here, okay? They give you all these they give you all these codes and everything. That's what you're going to see as far as indicators in the routing table. But now we got nothing. Okay? Now, notice we also have a gateway of last resort. But what this says is host and gateway. ICMP redirect cache is empty. The only thing we have to worry about here is the fact that we have now turned this router into a host. Okay? And that's great because now we can allow this thing as if it's just a PC. Okay? So, first of all, this is going to be router 1. Okay, and now I'm going to take one of my cables here. Where are you going? Oh, you're going here. So I'll plug this, I'll plug this. Alright, plug this into FA00. And plug this into switch 1 of my switch. Okay? Now, I'm not plugged into the switch, I'm plugged into the router. Alright? Let's see if this comes up. Doing no shutdown. There it goes. Okay, and you can see that we are up and up. Okay, perfect. Now, okay, now let's go over here. Okay, hold on. That's not right. Where are you? There we go. Let's find out which one comes on. And I believe it's the one I have highlighted. And there she goes. Okay, now I am changing this so I can actually communicate with the router. That's it. No default gateways needed. Hit OK. Now, I guarantee you I'm in a different VLAN here. So let's move this over here. See if that helps. There we go. Come on. No? Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at the switch here. You know what? We can do it this way. Instead of... Actually, no. It's training. Alright, so let's unplug this. Alright, now the console cable is plugged into the switch. Ah, you know what? We never changed the speed back. Never changed the speed back. Okay, so now... Oh, you know what? My dumbness. I was like, why did it take so long? Duh. Okay, so hold on. So that original port that I put it in was not on the same subnet of the switch from the switch configurations as the other port that I put it in, which was the port that was now on the same network as the port that the router was plugged into the switch. So hang on. Okay. So now, okay, and I'm able to ping my PC, which is good. Okay, so now We close this. Okay, so now, for right now, we're going to use a console cable to switch between back and forth, okay? But not the switch. So now, is it Telnet? Not sure. Actually, I can't do that because we need to add a subnet on my network. So hang on. Oh, speed. Okay. Uh, come for. What did I change it to? Okay. Well, we have a scenario here. First of all, let's close this. Maybe the port is open. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you can't have two ports open up on a COM port. You can only have one. You can only have one port open at a time. Let's see. Go ahead and save that configuration. Now, one thing that I want to point out is the fact that you are looking at my training aspect, not from an instructor's point of view as far as I am practicing before I'm actually creating the video. So the mistakes that you see, the pausing, the thinking, this is all me pulling back from memory. Okay? And what this is going to show you as we go through these series, okay, and go through these videos, is you're going to realize that once you hit a certain level, okay, that part of your training never goes away, which will be the basics. Master the basics, and you can't go wrong. Okay? So now, okay, so you know what? What we're going to do is what is that noise? Speaker. For some reason, I can't turn it on. Turn it off. There it goes. Okay. Some feedback going into there. All right. So now, um, show interface description. The reason why I like this, it'll give you the descriptions of the ports, but it'll also tell you what VLAN my ports are in. Okay. No. It'll tell you what my status is. Hold on. Come on. Oh, there's no other ports in anything. They're all in VLAN 1. Okay. By the way, guys, I just woke up, so it's going to take me a little bit to get back to my groove, but it doesn't really matter. All right, so now VLAN 1. All right, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to ping. All right. Actually, you know what? Let's do 10. Okay. All right. So now, okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So let's get to the bottom here. Huh. I thought I had this set up. Hold on for a second. Maybe I'm misreading this here. Huh. I guess I don't. Okay. First of all, let's get this set up for remote access. Let's go back up here real quick. It says log in. Wow. Okay, so All right, now let's bring this cable back over here. Okay, now in the console, okay, when I shut down this interface, okay, I should see it on the switch. All right, first of all, let's change this actual host name. Okay, and I see nothing. And the reason why this is, what I have done, which is not part of our lesson yet, that's why I didn't actually tell you what I was doing. But what I have done is set up communication where I can log into this device via VTY lines, which are called virtual terminals. Okay? However, when you're logged into the console, automatically anything that is processed by the CPU, okay, or as sent to the console, I'm going to see automatically, like I do here, that has been shut down. But in a virtual terminal, okay, these console messages are for the console, okay, all right, not for me to see while I'm logged in via a virtual terminal. In order for me to do that, though, I have to turn it on. Okay, and oops. No. And copy debug output to the current terminal line monitor. Now, when I do a no shut, I'm going to see those console messages on this session. Bam. Okay? Alright? So now, let us take a look at what we're really doing here with port security. Okay? Make sure we cover everything here. Alright? Now, with port security, our method or our mission, okay, is for us to manage this switch to a level of giving security on a port by port basis. Okay? Meaning that we are going to be paying attention to the MAC address on these ports and shutting down the ports, denying traffic, or whatever on how we're setting up the security. Okay? Now, by default, a MAC address in the MAC address table, okay, is learned for 300 seconds. Alright? So let's go back over here to the switch. Now remember, this is not a router method. This is a switch method. We're using the router as a host only. That's why we turn routing off. Okay? So there's no way for this router to do any routing jobs or anything that a router is meant to do. Okay? So okay, now look where it says aging time. Right here. MAC address table aging parameters. By default, it's 300. Okay? So, if we just look at the table, as you can see, we have learned some MAC addresses. Okay? Now, we actually did a search for the VLAN to show us what ports were on which VLANs. And everything's in VLAN 1. However, we got all these MAC addresses from FAO24. Okay? So, confused, let's go take a look at the configuration. All right? Now, we're going to go ahead and put this port back to normal. And that is default. Do I have to do... I must have erased this configuration. Okay, so now we're back to normal. So, now, what is FAO24? What's connected to it? Okay, there is a command called Cisco Discovery Protocol. All right, so I'm going to actually take a look and see if there's anything else connected to this device. And there is, and it's actually connected to FAO24. As you can see, the router 1 is connected to FAO1. Okay? That means whatever is sitting on FAO24, okay, has devices connected to there. Okay? Now, here's the thing. This is connected to switch 2. That's what my PCs connect to. That's where my other switch, which switch 1 is connected to. That's where my router is connected to. Okay? On switch 2. But on switch 1, I have a Ethernet connection coming from my Fios router at this house. So anybody who's connected to the wireless aspect of that router is showing up on port FAO24, okay, which literally on switch 1, though, is going to be port FAO23. So if I went over to switch 1 and looked at port FAO23, I would see these 3 MAC addresses here. But because I have a switch connected to a switch, those MAC addresses are being carried over from port FAO23 switch 1 and bringing it over to FAO24. Meaning now what I have done is when I connect these 2 switches together, okay, whatever's connected to switch 1 will extend over to switch 2 as far as reachability is concerned because of the MAC addresses. Now, with that being said, that is the beauty of a switch. Okay? All right? However, the thing about switches, okay, we can either do 3 things when we're dealing with port security. We can actually have a violation, okay? All right? Meaning it'll log it, but that's it. We can protect it, meaning that it's going to deny that traffic, okay? Or we can just ignore it. All right. Okay. All right. And as I see here in my notes, restrict actually ignores it and reports it. Okay. I can't remember what violation does. That's something you can look it up yourself. I think violation will mark it as a violation, but doesn't report it in your logs. Where restricting will actually ignore the problem, but at least report it in your logs. So you can actually go in your logs and you can see the actual violation happening. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I am going to turn on port security. Ba, 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 ba. I don't think that was I think that was a global configuration command. Okay. I guess it is a port by port here. Actually, you know what? We're just going to do 24. Okay, notice there is a character return. Done. Okay? Now, that lining secretness is not working. You know what? Forget it. So, show interface FAO 24. Switch port. Okay, now, that is a command that you should know. Taking a look at the switch port features and what's going on. Okay? Alright. Now, there. How come it didn't come up? Excuse the hell of me. Okay? Interface. FAO 24. Okay. So, let's take a look. It says port security is disabled. A violation mode, meaning that if it violates, any violations happens, it's going to shut down the port. Okay. Maximum MAC address is 1. Now, look at our options after port security. We have violation, remember, protect, and restrict. Okay, meaning if you want it logged, definitely put it on restrict. Okay, maximum. Okay, maximum said it was 1. All right. MAC address. Now this is interesting. All right. Remember that I said every digit of a MAC address is 4 bits in length. Okay. Now, I can actually put in the actual MAC address. Okay? Or I can actually say sticky. Now, this is an interesting thing. Show run NFS FA24. Alright? Or, let's do this. Is that not on? I mean, it did say it was off in the configs here. Oh! I missed that. I was like, I know I turned it on. Okay, alright, so. Okay. So that means I have to touch this as well. Alright. Right now, this is a dynamic port. Now, if we go back here and say show FAO24 switch port, this is going to tell you the dynamics of our switch port. And right now, this is in dynamic auto. Okay? Dynamic auto, okay, allows this thing to communicate with another switch as a trunk port. Now, a trunk port gives the ability to send traffic that is sent or marked for a particular VLAN and keep that VLAN as it goes from switch to switch. Now, we haven't talked about VLAN, so, but because this is dynamic, I cannot turn on port security. So, alright, now I gotta change my mode because look, this is what we're looking at up here. Our operation mode is trunk, but our administrative mode is dynamic auto. Okay? And our administrative mode is what we're looking at because as an administrator, we are managing this switch right now by changing features. Okay? Now, I want to say access. Okay? Now, we haven't talked about spanning tree, so don't worry about this at the moment. But, you know, we got a little message because of our configuration here, but it doesn't matter. Okay? Oh, sorry. Done. Now, now port security is enabled. Okay? All right? So now, okay, notice that the command is there, turning on port security, okay, and our address is sticky. So now let's do a show run. No, show MAC address. And notice FAO24 no longer has those MAC addresses. Okay, so now let's do the same thing for FAO1. FAO1. Switch port security, turn it on. Switch port mode access. Alright, and port security, MAC address, sticky. Now, with our ports going from FAO24 to 23, okay, it gave you that error, okay. So now on my switch port FAO24, okay, all right, it's up, but my port is damaged. So let's say show show oh no. That command's not gonna work. Forget that. Okay. Show interface FAO1. Show run interface. Now, let's take a look at this. Port security is turned on. MAC address is set to sticky. And take a look at this. There's the MAC address of FAO1. Is it? Let's go over here. It's actually FA00. And look at my MAC address. All right, same MAC address. Not only does the sticky command record the MAC address, it actually puts it in the config. Okay? Now, if I had changed the security MAC address allowance to 3, and 3 MAC addresses showed up on that table, okay, which I'm going to show you, hang on. Maximum MAC addresses is 1. So let's go ahead and change that. Okay, and now let's go over here. This is where we can actually make a change to our MAC address. Oh, hold on. I must be doing the command wrong. Oh, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of IP address. There we go. That's why question mark is your number one friend with with Cisco, okay, or Juniper or anything, okay, as far as managing devices like this, okay. All right, so let's change Okay. All right. You know what? We're going to do it this way. Okay. All right. Now it bounces. You see, we have our maximum 2. Let's go ahead and now they're both in there. Okay. Notice I had to send information because what does a switch do every time a packet or frame comes into a switchboard? It checks the source MAC address. Okay. All right. So now, besides changing the aging of a MAC address, okay, we talked about the hard coding and the stick encoding, okay, all right, and we have seen the show port security, okay, all right. This is pretty much the basics of port security. It doesn't really get that in depth, but have no illusions, okay. You're sitting in the knock. Someone calls up, true story by the way, and says, hey, my PC was working fine yesterday, okay, and I brought in my personal laptop and I plugged it in, and now I couldn't get on the network, and now my work PC can't get onto the network, okay? All right? Well, that would make sense, okay? And what ends up happening is you saw that the violation was shut down. You go in and you check the port security. And you'll see that the port is down, okay, because it violated it. So what do? Well, maximum MAC addresses is 1. All right, not cool because he needs 2. So you need to go back into that particular port, find out which port he's connected to, and then what you do from there is you change the maximum. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to go back over here to router 1. And we're going to bring this up. Now it bounces because it changed the MAC address from the Swiss perspective. Okay? Well, there it goes. What does it say? Okay. Port security violation error detected on FAO01 on the switch, putting it in error disable mode. So, in the knock, you go in and say show error disabled. Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. That's a... That's not the command I was looking for. Maybe it's in here. Show port interface FA01. Okay, it does tell you the secure shutdown. That's not the command I was looking for. Uh, where are you? I don't see it there either. Okay, I am missing a command here. So, ba, 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 ba. Is that what it is? That is what it is. Okay, and there it goes. All right. Number one thing, if I could teach you anything, there's no shame in forgetting a command. There's no shame of looking it up. Now, as you see, there is no command showing you that. However, I saw show, interface, status, are disabled, and going back into my memory bank, okay, it clicked. Okay? Alright? And still, I was like, is that really the command? Alright, there's no shame in this. What did I tell you? At some point, you're going to forget more stuff than you learn. Okay? Alright? Now, what you have noticed and experienced today, okay, is me not doing any review whatsoever. Okay? Alright? Every time I stumbled on something, I recovered like that. Okay? Alright? Back in the day, let's say 15 years ago, okay, this video would have took 10 times as long. Because I could not, I did not have that mastering of the basics in the background. Okay? Once you have mastered something, all right, going back to it years later, we're talking about what, half a decade? I'm revisiting all this stuff, okay? There is no fear in conquering this, okay? Whatever mistake I come across, I'm going to get back on track just like that, all right? All right? This is our first real lesson as far as a management perspective, all right, and actually on the command line perspective, all right? No theory, but the theory is mixed in with the configs. Does that make sense? Okay? All right? Now, if I wanted to have my material flawless and 100%, I would have done this video, deleted it, and then redo it, and it would be a lot more easily flowing. Okay? All right? But that's not what we do here. What I want you to see is the realism of doing this. I've been doing this for 15 years, guys. Can you believe it's been that long? 15 years. Think about the guys who's been with me since the very beginning. The first series of EIGRP videos I created that were like extra long. Okay? All right? One person was complaining on my channel about how painful it was to watch. Okay? But that painfulness that you were experiencing, you had done that at some point. Okay? All right? You're just scared to show it. I'm not scared. All right, bring it on. All right, so guys, as always, be strong, be determined, be Cisco, but also remember, there's no shame in forgetting. There's no shame in contact help, which is a question mark. There's no shame looking up documentation for a command ever. That is why Cisco documentation is there. All right, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.